Alright guys, welcome to VALORANT News. The Esports World Cup has come to a conclusion and it's Team Heretics at the 6th time of asking finally taken home a trophy after heartbreak so many times over the last several international tournaments. Heretics come out of nowhere after the last few weeks to take down Fnatic in one of the most amazing grand finals you're ever going to see. Fnatic lose two big international finals in the space of just a couple of weeks, bottling today's one heavily. It's a big talking point. Everyone's talking about it in the Valorant world. What does this mean for the second half of the season when we get back underway in a few days' time? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, I greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into today, and we're going to start right about here. There is some roster drama as well that I wanted to discuss. Thought it was kind of cool to see some jersey swaps out there. Smoggy, Xander, among other ones. Teams, of course, eliminated from the tournament. There was really giving a nice throwback to that Cloud9 team of a little while ago. But also some roster changes to mention here. So Team Liquid, they've been through an interesting time recently. They've confirmed that Trex is coming into their lineup. So he's obviously, was rumoured, part of the new Liquid team. They've made that move after the Vitality stuff that happened earlier this season, the rebuild that they've gone and done. And there was also this move, Dante Deus, or, you know, whatever, with the 5 at the end, joining Crew Esports. So a few things going on around the world of Valorant right now in terms of roster stuff. One of the big ones is actually with Foot Esports right now. There's some talk about the rebuild they're looking to do for the second split of EMEA, because this Esports World Cup happened at a pretty interesting time between, really, the conclusion of what happened back in Toronto and then the start of Stage 2, getting underway towards the playoffs in the second half of the year, and then the World Championship in Paris not too far after that. So many of the teams around this time, certainly those not attending EWC, looking to make a few changes to prepare themselves well for what's going to be a big push in the second half of the season to try and qualify for the World Championship. And a captain, it seems, is going to be gone from Foot Esports, and his replacement, believe it or not, may well be Cned, 2021 World Champion, famously, of course, with the Sens. He's been a little bit around, you know, up and down over the last couple of years. There were questions where he would come back, when he would come back, whether that was a possibility after a difficult stint on Na'Vi. But now Cned, I think, might well be back. They're doing a few things over there. There's talk about the new coaching staff that Foot Esports are looking to build as well. These are all pretty much rumours as of recording the video, but the rumours look like this, that a large portion of that Foot Esports team is going to stay, but at a captain it seems it's going to be gone, and Cned relatively likely to come in instead. So that's the talking point. We'll see if that improves. Like, obviously makes sense. Cned, Turkish team, you know, we've seen it before. We may well see it again, according to the talking points. But let's talk about the Esports World Cup. This was Fnatic Bosa a few days ago when they did the launch, because what was interesting about this is the Valorant stuff actually began with the qualifiers before the official opening ceremony happened for the World Cup. But it was, as you guys can tell, a pretty spectacular affair. Sentinels were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, and there's a few things to say on those teams that were eliminated. Heretics took down BBL, like it's a single elimination tournament. Once you get to the playoffs, you've got to get through the groups, and then if you turn up to the first round of the playoffs, unfortunately for Sentinels, they run into Paper Rex. They went down in that series. But I think notably for Sentinels, look, Paper Rex won Toronto not long ago, but it's not like PaperX went on to win this tournament as well. Of course, very, very difficult to go back-to-back, even making back-to-back international finals, let alone winning both of them. But still, Sentinels will think, well, you know, we lost to PaperX and we weren't very happy with the performance in that series. But PaperX actually didn't make it any further in the tournament. Now, neither did NRG. There was quite a lot of promise around NRG coming into this tournament, and in another world, maybe the team they lost to eventually wins the whole thing. But as Ethan says, not the result we wanted. Super proud of the guys, because I think NRG showed, okay, you know, they made some strides. I think, unfortunately, for the 100 Thieves boys, they did find themselves in a rather challenging group at the end of the day with Gen.G down there, Fnatic down there, and of course, Edward Gaming, who eliminated them. But NRG went down to Gen.G. Munchkin was 38 in 22. It wasn't especially close. Gen.G won the Sunset 13-6, and then it was 13-10 on the Icebox. So some progress made for NRG, but they play a real top international team. And Foxy9 22 and 11 on the second map to take them down. So NRG bomb out of the tournament. And then we had the two semi-finals. We'll see the full bracket in a few seconds' time when everything is concluded. But this was Fnatic versus Paper Rex. Of course, the rematch of the grand finals that we had back in Toronto that Paper Rex amazingly won for their first international victory. And Fnatic, they get their revenge, and I'm sure after this result, they were incredibly confident that they were going to go on to do the same thing again when they got to the grand finals. But PaperX, they won the Sunset 13-10. Fnatic bounced back emphatically on the Ascent 13-3. Very notable this, of course, because this Ascent was also the deciding map of the grand finals, and we'll see how that all transpired here in a second. And then the Split was a 13-8. Usually, Split Decider was a banger, but I think Kayak is really coming into his own at the moment, right? He's turned it around. You know, when he first joined Fnatic, he was obviously pretty nervous about the size of the opportunity and the stage, and the fact that they brought him in. Like, let's be honest, Fnatic decided to make a change after last year, and they decided to get rid of Durka. And yeah, it was obviously a little bit chaotic. Leo not coming back, Crashy's becoming available, and you know, he was always kind of available, but you know what I mean, making the changes that they've done. But they decided, Fnatic, they wanted to make a move, and the move that they decided to make, it wasn't like their hand was forced on this. They decided that Durka was going to be the man that they were going to release, because they felt very highly about Kayak being a reasonable replacement. And early doors, that wasn't so clear. But as time has gone on, that's been very evident that this kid is incredibly talented. And on the other side of the bracket, Team Heretics played Gen.G. Now, Heretics have had a very interesting time. After losing so much in international finals, never quite getting their victory, it felt like they were kind of broken. The team was not performing as well as they previously had done, and it kind of felt like they would never quite reach the level they were at before again. But revenge on Gen.G was massive here for Team Heretics, taking them down on the Lotus in a crazy overtime game. Like, they won the Ascent 13-7, which is notable, of course, because again, as we're going to say, they played Fnatic on it in the finals. They lost the Haven 13-8, and then they won the Lotus 16-14 overtime banger, Rient and Boo with a great performance there. So Gen.G go down, as I say, single elimination. So, you know, whether you want to say it randomizes the tournament more, like if you play a double elim tournament, you're probably going to get more consistent results if you hypothetically ran the tournament 100 times. But I don't think this takes anything away from the victories that these teams achieved, because Heretics were deserving finalists, and in the end, very much deserving champions. Now, this morning, they actually had a consolation final. So they had a third place match, as it's sometimes known elsewhere. This was for money, really, and pride, but to decide who was going to get third and who was going to get fourth. Pretty cool, actually, to see this. I think it's a good idea. I don't mind it. It's a nice little warm-up, really, for the grand finals, I think, later in the day. And, of course, it was between the two Pacific teams in Gen.G and PaperX, so they were having a pretty good time with it. And, of course, in the end, it was Gen.G that took the victory 2-0. So, again, it's not like this series mattered all that much, 13-10, 13-8. But in terms of prize pool, you know, there was a significant amount of money on the line this series, right? So they were definitely trying, and Gen.G come out on top, which goes to show how impressive it was that the two teams that made it to the finals were Fnatic, who was, you know, largely unexpected. Like, they lost to PaperX in the grand finals of Toronto just a few weeks ago, but I would have thought, okay, yeah, getting their revenge thereafter, working hard, I'm sure, to prep for that team was, you know, maybe you could have seen it coming on some level. But, I mean, man, this grand finals you could not really have seen coming, and this was an unbelievable highlight. When I saw this happen, I was like, damn, this finals is done. Fnatic already up 1-0. Then you've got Kayak pulling off plays like this. And yeah, again, we've got a play on the sunset, like we saw with the Sagetsu clutch the other day, where people are just challenged one by one, but he gets the first, gets the seconds, and then peeks out. I mean, to be honest, as much as Heretics should have played this way better, like, this was pretty disgusting, right? Like, 1v2, I mean, this isn't a 1v2, the round's already over because they're getting crunched in. You know, it is like an ace. It's not an ace clutch exactly, and of course they needed to chow, but wow, like, the shots here were brilliant, and they were in an eco round. So maybe it's not, you know, it's not the most insane highlight you're ever going to see, but it is a disgusting ace, and to go down like this was, I mean, just the shots he hits there, the way that he plays this, just a one-tap all of these guys, oh, absolutely sensational. And after that, you're thinking, damn, it's got to be GG, right? But no, Fnatic go up 2-0, dominantly, they go up 2-0. They demolish them on the sunset. It looked like Heretics were mentally broken, but no, they win the game 3, and on the game 4, Fnatic go up 9-3. But on the second half, on the Haven, they start bringing it back, and we actually get in the final round here. Boo gets a 1v3. They're up 12-10, and Boo clutches this 1 versus 3. He knows where Chronicle is. He gets the final kill. They win them at 13-10, and then they take it to a game 5, and the game 5 was an absolute banger as well. Again, Fnatic go up pretty decently on the defensive side, but we know that the defensive side of Ascent, you know, you want to be posting 8 rounds if you really can. Fnatic didn't do that, and Heretics then were given the opportunity to capitalize on it. And if I hit the refresh here, you'll see that Heretics took the grand finals on the Ascent 13-10 in the end. They had a great start to the second half. Fnatic couldn't cope with it. They won a couple of rounds to give themselves an eye in, but this was an unbelievable grand finals. 13-4 on the Lotus, 13-1 on the Sunset. Heretics looked dead and buried. Woot had 2 kills on the Sunset, but in the Icebox they bounced back. He bounces back with 26 frags. Like, the mental resilience, the way that they won this finals is just so impressive to me, because given all of the grand finals they'd previously lost, they were coming into today with loads of money on the line and obviously loads of prestige as well. It is, you know, going to continually be a big tournament and considered that way, the World Cup, I'm sure, as seasons go on, and probably part of the VALORANT calendar for many years to come. But to be in this pressure situation, to be absolutely demolished in the first couple of maps of the finals, and then to win the Haven 13-10 with a 9-3 comeback, and then to win the Ascent 13-10 as well, you know, pretty shocking that this happened in the way that it did. And yeah, obviously Kayak got a lot of praise from me earlier. You could argue that when the pressure was on, certainly on the map 5, Kayak didn't have his best performances, but even before that, you know, it's not like he played badly, really. I know that Alpha was not happy with his performance in the grand final, and we'll see that here in a second. But, you know, this was the 11-10 round. Again, it's the classic Fnatic. They do love to take their time, right? And by the time they get to the site in the end, there really was no time for them to do anything about it. So congratulations to Heretics. I mean, looking back at their run, even over the last couple of seasons, right? But certainly back to Stage 1 grand finals, like Masters Madrid, of course, they lost in the Swiss stage to Paper X. But, you know, Stage 1 grand finals 2024 losing, and then just fast forwarding back to Masters Shanghai, of course, which very much still lives in the memory, losing to Vitality and EMEA, losing to Edward in Champions, losing to Fnatic as they'd done before. So they got their revenge in like every single regard today. Just an incredibly impressive performance. Alpha understandably frustrated about his own performance and says that was the worst final that I've ever played in my career. Incredibly impressive mental resilience. Very much on Twitter. Your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.